Hi, this is Stephanie Fiedler. Today I'm going to show you how to create your first augmented reality project using Aurasma. The first thing that you want to do is make sure that you've saved your trigger image, or in this case it'll be a photo, and your overlay. In this case it is a video trailer promoting the latest Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. All right. Once you've done that, you need to go to Google Chrome. I recommend using that, not Internet Explorer. And then you're going to type studio.aurasma.com. Log in. Once you've logged in, you're going to get this content tutorial. When you have some time, I highly recommend going through and familiarizing yourself with some of the vocabulary. But for now, you can close this and we'll get started. Basically, you're going to follow the steps here on the right, starting with trigger images. You click on trigger images, and then you'll see this window with a button that has the plus symbol and says add. Click on that, and you're going to add your trigger image. In this case, it is the cover of the latest Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and we're going to call it Long Haul Trigger. We're going to choose training image, and if you recall, we already saved it on our desktop. Once you've done that, click Save. It's all saved, and you can click Close. Let's close out of this window. Next step, the overlay. Same process. Click Add, and we're going to create Long Haul Overlay. Video. Back on the desktop, look for the video. Open. Now, here it's asking you whether you want to loop it or not. Generally, especially for book trailers, I don't like it to loop. I want the kids to hear the book trailer once, and when it's done, move on to the next book, or preferably check the book out and start reading. So we're not going to loop this one, and save. It can take a little while for the video to process because it's such a big file. So if you're doing this with your students, tell them to be patient. A lot of times they think that something's gone wrong, or it's broken or frozen. It's just a very large file and it needs some time to process. All right, my video is now saved, and I'm going to close this out. Next step is channels. You will want to create your own channel, and I have several. I have my personal channel, one for the Media Center, and then one that I did a project with a science teacher. So let me show you what it looks like when you open it up. This is where you would want to get the link to subscribe, and I have another video tutorial showing you how to create a QR code to make it easy for people to follow you. And then once you're in this channel window, you can also see all of the auras associated with that channel. So you might want to add your mascot, picture of your school or something to identify your channel. All right, let's close that out. Now, we're going to create our first aura. We're putting it all together. Same idea, click on Aura, the window opens, choose Add, and then basically just fill out the form. So the first step is the name. trigger image, and there's our trigger, our channel. In this case, I'll use the media center. Time restrictions, you really don't have to do anything with that. I don't do time restrictions. This section overlays is a little tricky. It looks like there's nothing here. So you have to sort of rest your mouse till it has the two arrows, click and drag, and then suddenly you'll see the add overlay. Same idea. Type in long haul, and there's our overlay. Now, overlay properties. This is kind of personal preference. Some people like to do it when it's double tapped. I prefer to make it start as soon as the overlay has started. And I like to make my overlay full screen. The reason I do that versus double tapping is I found that kids don't always think to tap the iPad, so I like to just have it automatically launch. This is going to be the size of your overlay. I want to make this nice and big so it fills up the screen on the device. And then click Save, and you can see behind it is the cover, the book cover, which was our trigger, and on top of it is the overlay. Let's save, and there you have it. That's your first aura. Okay, I want to show you a couple of other things that we've gotten questions about in the past. So one is under trigger images. When you're creating a trigger image, I wanted to point out that there's also this coordinates choice. In my example, I used a training image, the cover of the book, but there's also this coordinates. And what that's for is geographical coordinates. And it's kind of like geocaching. If you put in the geographical coordinates of where you want the trigger to be, it can be a location, not just a picture. So for instance, if you wanted to make the front of your school a trigger, you would just put in the geographical coordinates for that. I want to show you one of the biggest questions that we have when it comes to creating auras, and that has to do with trigger. So let me add a trigger. In this case, it's going to be Chomp. And it's the cover of the Carl Hiaasen book. And Aurasma doesn't like wide open spaces. So what will happen if it doesn't like a certain image is it'll give you this error message about that this isn't a great image, it's sparse. So let me show you. We would say, do you wish to continue training anyway? Yes. But it has recommended something called masking, and let me show you what that is. So when I said Aurasma doesn't like wide open spaces, in the cover of this book, there's lots of just blank yellow. And the way that Aurasma works is it's looking for thousands of little points in an image to kind of fixate on. And then when it does a scan, it recognizes all of those thousands of points. So if there's just wide open spaces of color or blankness, it doesn't like that. So we're going to do something called masking, which is like masking tape. And you click on this draw rectangle. And what we're going to do is we're going to block out some of those wide spaces. So similar to masking tape, we're just masking the things we don't like. And there's a big block right here too. We're going to get rid of that. And probably a little bit between his teeth. So now we are telling Aurasma to ignore all of these things behind the masking and focus on just the open areas. And that will help it to train on the image. And then we'll save it. And you can increase how opaque the masking is, which often helps. Now we've saved it and we're good. So those are some of the common questions we have about Aurasma, but if we have forgotten to answer some of your questions, or if there's any way that we can help you, please make sure that you post questions and comments on our Edmodo group, Aurasma and Education Users group, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Hope this helps. Enjoy using Aurasma.